What's up, guys? Ben here, bringing another video today. It is Thursday. If you can tell by my shirt, I'm actually about to go play golf on stream, so that'll probably be done by the time this video is up, but it's Thursday, so it's time to take a look at our pick'ems for this week and figure out who we're going to pick to win matches. Big set of matches coming up this weekend. It's the last weekend of qualifier matches before the event in Miami, which, by the way, me and Tommy and Chris Parasite will be attending, so more on that soon. But let's take a look at the standings first. I'm going to kind of explain to you sort of what's at stake this weekend. Let's dive in on the individual matches, and I'll give you my predictions there. All right, so this is the standings currently for this split. You see that Optic and New York are undefeated. They will play each other this weekend, so we're only going to have one undefeated team heading into this event. But basically, like, to make this very easy to understand, New York's already in, Optic already in, FaZe already in as well with 5 wins, Toronto with 4. Thieves and Vegas also already in on 3 wins. So you have 6 of the 8 spots in winners bracket already set. Now, we'll take a look at another graphic in a second, but there could be some fluctuation between that. But virtually everybody else is alive. So Boston still has a chance. All of these teams also have a chance. Carolina, Seattle, Minnesota. LAG had one scenario that if Sunday had broken their way last week, that they would have had a 1% chance to get in. But unfortunately, I believe, as far as I know, with all tiebreakers, it's impossible for them to get in. So they are stuck, potentially going as high as 2 and 5 to split, but with tiebreakers, not enough map wins, they will not get out losers bracket. So we have 5 teams fighting for 2 spots. And this is another real way to look at it. So New York cannot finish any lower than second. Optic cannot finish any lower than third based on, all the scenarios. Atlanta will finish somewhere between second and third, depending on the tiebreaker that they would lose against New York. Toronto can finish anywhere from 4 to 6, but I think likely 4. Thieves can be anywhere virtually between 4 and 8. So ideally, if you're them, you probably want to get 4th and 5th seed. And then Vegas can also fluctuate as well. There's a chance for a while that Vegas, before last weekend, could have gotten a top 4 seed, but with their slip up now, I think likely going to get 5th or 6th. Then you see the other ways, according for everybody else, that still have a chance to finish in losers bracket. So again, these are your percentages in case you're curious. And this is shout out to my guy Doug Lieb putting this together. So take a picture of this, or you can look at it on Twitter. He tweeted out both these graphics, but this is another way to look at what we got coming up this weekend. All right, so first up, we have the Las Vegas Legion versus Seattle Surge. And my guess is that most of the picks, are on Vegas in this one. It's actually interesting that they've had won the last 3 matchups versus Seattle. None this season, but they were all last season. So obviously a completely different team. Vegas is a team that's in a little bit better form, although had a little bit of a slip up last weekend. Again, hard to tell with Vegas with these things when they lose to Thieves. If I'm like, is that a product of, they've had an easier schedule playing LAG, Miami, Boston, et cetera, et cetera. And on the Seattle side, they did get a rebound against LAG, but they lost to the Rockers. So not likely looking at winners bracket. And this is a big one that Seattle has to win. Then if they win this one, going that Boston match, things could get interesting. So based on with these 2 teams and Seattle's lack of real good quality respawn, I got Vegas 3-1, but I can definitely see this one going to 5, and then Seattle have a real chance in that end. But I think Vegas have been a lot better in search to split, so I think they have a chance there. But this could be a fun one. And then we have the LA Thieves LAG match, a 2-match Friday, guys. So a little bit of an early one there. The interesting thing about this matchup is you'll notice that LA Thieves have only won this once in recent memory. LAG is basically like 1,000,001 when it comes to this matchup. And so I don't quite understand it. I don't really get why when LA Thieves have been super favored in many of these matches, they haven't delivered. Is going back to Sam Octane teams. But I mean, there's ever a chance for Thieves to beat LAG. It's right now. I'm also going to pick 3-1 in this one. I don't think Thieves are yet in a spot where they're going to close out people in a clean 3-0. I could definitely see this one also going to game 5 because Thieves definitely do fumble the bag sometimes, but LAG are not playing good. They're not a great search team. If we go the distance, I think Thieves close it out. All right, another Vegas matchup. They got back-to-back early matches. That is an interesting draw. Carolina Royal Ravens. So Carolina needs to win this match to get into winners bracket, I believe, because they are currently 2 and 4 in the qualifiers, and this is their last match of this split. So a must-win for them. These 2 teams played earlier this season, and if you remember, Vegas won the first 2 maps, and then Carolina reverse swept them. And I actually think that this one could be real interesting, and I do think Vegas is going to want some revenge. And if you see from the fan predictions, I really agree this is kind of a 50-50 So I'm going to take Carolina another game 5 against Vegas just to spice things up right now, but I may adjust that accordingly when we see how Vegas plays on Friday. But I got Carolina making the race for top 8 interesting in this first matchup on Saturday. Now, this one is a hard one to predict as well. As you notice, these first 4 ones, they are not straightforward ones. Minnesota versus Miami. And the reason that this one is difficult to predict is because I think Minnesota rebounded a little bit against Seattle, but have been on a slide, even though they've had some tough game 5 losses against Boston Optic and Toronto. And on the Miami side, they played better last weekend. And so I don't really know if this is another vein of form that Miami's going to tap into, if that was a one-off, thing against Carolina. I'm not really sure. Both these teams are super inconsistent. And so I have no idea really how to predict this one. I'm actually very curious what the fan prediction is. 65-35. I'm going to be honest. I think this one's a lot closer than that in my eyes. So I am going to predict Miami 3-2 because I think in the game 5 I got Miami, but this one I have no confidence in because neither team's form very convincing, and this one is very much who's better on the day, and I don't know how I'm supposed to predict that on Thursday afternoon. So here we go. I guess Miami 3-2. LA Thieves versus Toronto. Now this one's a little bit more straightforward. Toronto coming off back-to-back losses, dude. I really doubt they're going to lose 3 in a row going to this event. And 95.5% is about how I feel. This is a Toronto Ultra 3-0. I think Toronto's going to, grab their one. 5-2, not the best they could have done during the split with losses to FaZe and Optic, but they're a top 4 team, and I think they will act as such in this match. All right, next up we have LAG versus FaZe. Again, just like with Toronto, don't want to waste too much oxygen on this. These teams have already played this season, and actually they played once this season and FaZe 3-0'd LAG. Could see sub-base this one if FaZe want to try it out, in which case maybe the 3-0 isn't necessarily in play and it's more of a 3-1, but I'm going to predict the 3-0 just because FaZe are in cruise control right now. I've won 9. They've won 12 maps in a row currently, which is pretty impressive. So I think that's got to be getting close to some kind of record. So yeah, FaZe in cruise control. 1 loss, I think, in the split going into the event, which would be great for them as one of the favorites. Now, here is the next 2 ones are very difficult to predict. So we talked about Seattle earlier when we covered the Vegas series. Let's talk a little bit about Boston. Have been extremely underwhelming this split and have a lot of issues. They're still not a good search team. Have been decent at hard point, flirting 500. But control, they look iffy on, especially on evasion. So I think there's a real opportunity for Seattle to do something in the series because of how weak Boston is. And I think for Boston to have a chance, they're going to have to take 3 respawns in this series. So I am going to predict Seattle 3-2 in this one. I think the fans probably have it. If I scroll over here so you can see 75-25 Boston. And I really don't actually agree with that at all. I don't really know what the fans are thinking watching both these teams play. They're both just equally as mid, and I really think this is significantly closer than the fans have it in this matchup. And then the last match, and this is the one that I think a lot of y'all are waiting for to finish off our online qualifiers for stage 2. Optic Texas versus New York Subliners. So Optic coming off a big victory versus Toronto, and New York has been an absolute cruise control this entire split. So both these teams are playing particularly well, and that's why they're both undefeated. New York has looked phenomenal, S&D phenomenal in control. They've only dropped 2 hard points. I would say if we go game mode by game mode for me, my thought process is that I think Optic, I would, thinking about the map set that we might get in this, which I think New York probably don't want to play Optic on Rio. I think Optic are not going to want to play Skid Row against New York because I feel like this map you should ban. We had Sub-Base, Karachi, Invasion. I think maybe benefit New York maybe a little bit more than Optic, but I could see Optic then thinking, well, in that case, maybe we just scrub in Skid Row because we're confident on it. Either way, I think New York, I might like them in the hard points. Search is actually a little bit interesting because Optic look really good against Toronto and S&D, but New York beat FaZe, another good search team early in the split. So I think that one for me, although on paper, maybe New York's favorite, I think that one's a little more 50-50. And the controls, I think, are 50-50 as well, because I think New York is very good at that game mode. But as we saw from Optic in regards to the control right now, if Shotzi goes off, there's a real chance. So this one, I think, goes game 5 regardless of that. And it's just a question of who do I trust in a game 5 between these 2 teams. They both actually have, I'm going to look it up right now. So New York's game 5 record so far this season If I scroll on my other sheet here, the New York's game 5 record, they are perfect 5-0 this season. And Optic is 4-2. So I'll take New York on the perfect record here to be the only undefeated team. That would put Optic in phase and then a tie for a second, which I'm not sure how the tiebreaker would break down, considering they've not played each other head to head during this split. So I think it was just going to come down to like map count. So one of them will get second seed, one of them will get third seed. Either way, I think they're going to end up being on a crash course then to play each other in the second round of the brackets. So that'll be fun. I got New York taking this one, but I'm very curious on the fan predictions. Let's take a look real quick here. 70-30 Optic New York. I got to be honest, man. I don't know what the fans are thinking with these Sunday predictions because they're way off from, like, they're much closer than the predictions are, but either way, this one should be a fun one. All right, so that'll do it for the predictions. We got a lot of interesting matches this weekend, so make sure you check me out on Twitch and on YouTube on match days to go talk about the matches, get our bets in, watch the matches, etc., etc. And I'm excited to be in Miami next week for the event as well. So let me know in the comments what you guys think of the video. Like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more as always, guys. We'll see you on the next one.